everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Clairpoint Podcast with me, Randy Prizzle. How you guys all doing out there? Everything good, shway, crispy, irie. But let's get on to this episode of the Clairpoint Podcast, episode 41. See what I did there? Anyways, let's move on. We come to the advice. Give people my advice, who are obviously maybe talking some reckless stuff from social media posts or anything, and I give my reactions to them. I basically try to advise them the best way possible, Randy style. So let's get into that. First one we've got: friend lost home, job and family. I cannot bring myself to care. That already sounds mad, but let's find out a bit more. This started about a 16 month ago. Already bad grammar there. About 16 months ago they should have used, but let's continue. Friend was out drinking, allegedly spent the night. Next morning, drove themselves home. They were pulled over for speeding and stunk of booze. Oof. Did roadside tests and failed. Blew exactly on the legal limit. They were arrested and given a 90-day suspended license. The court date kept getting pushed back to almost a year later somehow. We spoke about length about what they need to do to prepare for the eventual reality of losing their license for a year minimum, picking up extra shifts, getting a second job, cutting back on wants. Part of it was to hire a decent lawyer and save money for cabs at Uber later on. Instead, they proceeded to spend every single dime drinking and partying till it was court date. I've known this person for 20 years. They have struggled off and on with drugs, booze, but I was assured they would clean up when they had a child. Damn. Now court date happened, lost license for a year, didn't even try to seem remorseful, didn't tell their job what happened and tried to figure out something. Didn't tell their family what was going on, eventually just stopped showing up to work because taking a bus is for poor people, so they got fired. Lost their spouse, kicked out of their home, parents won't talk to them. I stopped speaking to them after a drunken rampage that left the friendship in ruin. Last month, they asked me if they could crash at my house for a few days. I said no. Didn't list any reasons or gave any. I just told you so moments. To be honest, if you've told that person time and time again and that person don't want to hear it, you just have to let them do it for themselves, to be honest. He fucked about and found out the hard way. That's just what it is. Sometimes you can't help people. You just have to let people help themselves. You know what I mean? The best thing you could do is advise that person, and you've tried to advise that person doesn't listen. So your best case scenario is to just leave them and move on. I think you did the right thing personally. So I don't think you should really feel no shame or guilt about it. If you spoke to that person time and time again, like the Cyndi Lauper song, and that person didn't want to listen to you, then you just cut it off. You know what I mean? And especially if they're a bum, their life is going down the drain, they're just drinking and they're not really taking care of themselves, their family and everything like that, you did the right thing. You know what I mean? There's so much more you can talk to someone and try to help someone before you just look and say that person is now just past help. So for me, my advice is simple. You did the right thing. You shouldn't really feel guilty about it. You told that person no, let them find somewhere else to live. If they're homeless, that's their own fault. You know what I mean? Their mentality was all wrong. You know what I mean? The fact of the matter is that they're saying getting bus for poor people, it already tells me that that person's mentality was all wrong. So you did the exact right thing. I've got no simple advice for you than just say, well done. Let's move on to the next. People say, oh, that was a bit harsh, Randy, but let's be honest here. If you were in his shoes, what would you do? That's the question I'll put out to you guys out there. What would you do if you were in his shoes? Okay, let's move on to the next one. I've had over... Let's move on to this. This one looks a bit mad, so let's go to this one. Accidentally showed my nudes to 2 girls at once. This could be a mad one, it could be a good one, but let's find out. This happened 12 years ago, back when I was in uni. Back then, I had a lot of sexting with different girls and usually keep it in secret and out of school so none of my peers know my wild side. Whoa, rawr. I was also very pro Sony phones and loved to show off my phone, which was known for their better cameras back in the day. One day, a couple of girls asked me to let me try them out the Sony phone as they wanted to see if it was worth switching over. I promptly handed over the phone over to them without thinking much about it. Then they asked if it was alright to pop open the photo album, which I obliged as I wanted to show the AR capabilities. We were looking through photos when suddenly I saw a dick pic. I quickly grabbed the phone and hid it immediately and continued just talking about the specs. I don't know if they saw it or they were being politely ignorant, but it was mortifying. Well, I think you should have just started out, to be honest. I think back in them days, you should have started out. You're in college, right? So, as they say in college, sometimes you just gotta have fun in college. And showing your nudes to some girl in college probably isn't a bad thing because that was never really your intention, right? But sometimes these things find a way to work in some miraculous and mysterious way. They may have been interested. I'm just saying, just may. You don't know. They could have been shocking horror, but sometimes you just got to test a bit of the water and see what happens. As mad as that sounds, it was on your phone. It wasn't on their phone. You never sent it to them. So as far as you're concerned, you're not in the wrong here. You know what I mean? You're probably in that way where, hey, you're moving a bit too forward with the pics and that, but your intention was never to send it to these girls. So these girls probably may feel a type of way, but in the end, they may understand and go, do you know what? This is college. College rules and all that. Sometimes college people do wild things in college. I've seen, people just smoke marijuana, not even that, but people just do all sorts of mad stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're hearing about what Boris Johnson done and these mans in posh private schools. Where man, them are just doing things with pigs' heads and that. Do you know what I mean? So, bruh, it can't get any worse than that. And if they seen it and they saw it, sometimes you just got to style and go, do you like what you saw or something like that? It's do the Val Venus stuff, big Val. Yeah, hello, lady. Something where you just style it out, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you may have got another girl on your link list. But listen, that was your college days, right? Obviously, you ain't doing it these days now, so you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's if you are doing it these days, you probably should stop, because obviously that was when you were in college. You probably need to fix up, act up, look sharp and all that. The Dizzy Rascal song, you probably need to do that, because if you're still doing that these days, yeah, you're moving a bit weird, bro. Like, that was how long ago, and you're still trying to relive your past glory days. Yeah, it's not looking great at all. You probably need to stand up and fix up there. But that was 12 years ago. That was when you were in college. You said you were a different person, uni. You have fun, man. Uni times, man. Drinking. But as I said, simple advice to you, don't fret about it. If they saw it, they saw it. That was in the past, man. Don't worry about it. It's something to tell people back in the days and just laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing serious. Let's move on. Next one. But that's it for my advice. But what do you guys think? You could put your comments below on that one or keep them to yourself. With that, we're going to move on now to talk top 5. Remember, this happened and debuted a couple of weeks ago. It's obviously not last week, the week before last. Well, I gave my top 5 flavored crisps. This time I'm going to give you my top 5 pets. Now, I don't have pets, so this should be very interesting. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really a pet person, but obviously if I get out of here and in a different environment, who knows? I may want a pet. So I'm going to give you my top 5 pets. General, this is just going off the cuff because I have not really gotten anything down. Or, it's just off the brain. For me, personally, because I've seen a lot of videos of them, I'll probably go with like a hamster as number 1. Because it's easier to clean up. You don't have to do anything long. easier to clean up. They seem a bit friendly as well. Their little teeth and all of that. You know what I mean? Buggy eyes. Easier to clean up. So for me, I go with pet as number one. Number two, goldfish. Again, simple, easy to clean up. You just watch them swimming around the thing. You buy a fish tank for them. I don't think there's no qualms there with having a little fish. So I'll put them as two. But I wouldn't just go for a goldfish. I think I'll go for like a rainbow or something like that. One of them exotic looking ones. It's just good to look at. You know what I mean? Just does the thing, and it just makes everything look nice and pretty and that. So yeah, man, I'll go with like a rainbow fish or one of them. So that would be my second choice. Third choice, I'll go a bit wild hair with my third choice. I generally think this one couldn't do a lot of damage too much, so I'd say like a chameleon. So yeah, chameleon would be my third choice. You know what I mean? I'll go with that just because the exotic nature of a chameleon lizard. I just think the way that they could move around could be quite cool as well. They could probably change colors and shapes, which could look great as well. Do you know what I mean? Showcase it to your friends. Look what that chameleon could do, you know what I mean? Or lizard, whatever. So that'll be third. Fourth, I'm trying to think of fourth. Maybe like a little Shih Tzu or one of them dogs. Just something that's small. Again, not something that's gonna, crap big. I'd say a Shih Tzu, potentially. And fifth choice, I'll go with a rabbit. The reasons why I say rabbit, I always thought bunny rabbits kind of cute. I liked them back in the days in terms of where they just look easier to maintain as well. I know I heard that they shit around the place a lot. Well, I'll just put them in a little section, a cage, and then they can just shit in there, to be honest. So yeah, I'd say rabbit would be my last choice as fifth place. So that'll be my top 5 pets. But what are you guys' top 5 pets? Put your comments below on that one, or keep them to yourself. With that, we're going to move forward now to talk The Penguin Series 1. So I just recently watched The Penguin Series 1. I actually just finished it about a couple of days ago. I know people say, oh, that's late. It came out like early in the year. How could you leave it till that long to watch it? I told you, people, I'm always a late watcher. I watch things quite late. Do you know what I mean? I like to take my time, let the hype all die down, and then watch these series and come to a conclusion about them without other people interference and all of that. You know what I mean? I prefer it to be that way because for me, I get to dissect the program very easily without other people yapping in your ear about, oh, this one done this and this one done that. Okay, as I said, now on these episodes of the podcast, I give you the full details. So spoiler alert, I'm not going to hold anything back in terms of my thoughts because this is a podcast. You have to express everything, and that's what I do now. So get my clear point on The Penguin Series 1. Obviously, for people who don't know the story, it's obviously about DC character Penguin, the Penguin, which is obviously an arch nemesis of Batman down the layers. If you've read the comics, arch nemesis of Batman, and his basically rise to the top of the crime chain or whatever, the top of the crime. How would they say it? It's not coming to mind, but you know what I mean. His rise, to be the king of Crime Town, let's say. So the things I liked about this series is that I felt it was very unpredictable. I liked the fact that it was very gritty, you know what I mean? Very straight to the point, cutthroat. The action as well, in terms of it, and the drama was brilliant, second to none in terms of writing. I think for me, one of the best DC series is out there. I think it's probably one of the best. I think it's better than Arrow, better than Flash. And that's just one season. But for me, I saw enough in that one season to make me go, yo, this is incredible. Like, the character as well, telling about his past in terms of obviously how he grew up, how obviously he, let's say, unknowingly murked his brothers. Well, he kind of did it in terms of wanting to be the only child to be by his mother's side, wanting his mother's love, seeking his mother's love, and kind of trying to earn that, you could say. not really getting it, but working towards trying to earn his mother's trust. But there's a lot of things that do happen throughout the series that make me go, wow. It makes me really question just how sadistic and how crazy his character is. But Colin Farrell did a great job portraying the Penguin. I thought he did a fantastic job. Absolutely brilliant in terms of how he put that character together, really kind of grasped the concept, changing the accent, everything, playing that role menacingly and very convincingly. I think for one of the very best character portrayals in a TV series, I would say, because that for me was just incredible, you know, like just his role in terms of how you tell the story, you show the emotions and the bare lack of emotions at times, especially when it comes to dealing with certain characters, the Maroney family, the Falcone family, and how you try to, let's say, worm his way and struggle through different situations to get out of a hole. All of that. But even his sidekick as well, Vic. I think he's portrayed by this guy named Renz. I can't remember his full name, but big up to him. You know what I mean? Really did a good role as well. I remember him from the series that he was in. What was that series again? That Marvel series, The Runaways. That was it. He was in The Runaways, one of the lead characters in The Runaways, and he really did his part really well. You know, I didn't expect the ending. That's what shocked me the most, the ending. I didn't expect Penguin to do that to him at the end. And if you've seen the end, you would kind of know what I'm talking about. It was very much crazy to see. It shocked me, to be honest, because I didn't see it coming. I really did not see it coming. So that swerve was a brilliant swerve. And that shocked me. But the whole grittiness and the drama of the entire series and the want and the lust for trying to get to the top, you can see it through his facial, the way he acts, the way he portrays the character, the way he goes to deeper depths and really tries to sell this character to us. So I say Colin Farrell does an absolutely incredible job. And as I said, for me, one of the best DC series is out there. For me, instantly, Penguin is a massive hit for me. And I know I was recently talking about this episode I did yesterday of Unpopular Opinions, saying certain series nowadays can't compare to series of the past. I think this one definitely can compare to an Arrow and a Flash, but it's way past them. You know what I mean? It's better than them. And they were probably about 10 years ago, how long ago they were. But this series right here is just impeccable. Well written, well acted, like the twists and the turns, just everything. And that's why for me, this series, I'll give this a very high rating. I'm going to give it a 9.4 because I feel it deserves it. It's just that good. That for me, it has to get a 9.4. I cannot see another DC series topping this series. And I would love there to be a season 2. I don't know if that's been confirmed, but I would love there to be a season 2 because I feel there does need to be a season 2 because of how good it was. But that's just my thoughts on that. What do you guys think? Have you seen Penguin season 1? Put your comments below on that one. Keep them to yourself. I hope there is a season 2. That's what I do hope, but I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. All right, we're going to come on now to the Premier League. Matchday 1. And get my thoughts and my predictions on the Premier League Matchday 1. But before we do that, we come to The Voice. Now, you've missed The Voice. I'm sure you have. I'm not talking about the programme, some BBC or ITV or where it is now. I'm talking about the voice that I do when the Premier League games need to be announced. So let's get into this. Welcome back to The Voice. Premier League matches. Match day 1. Liverpool 4, Bournemouth 2. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Brighton 1, Fulham 1. Sunderland 3, West Ham United 0. Tottenham 3, Burnley 0. Wolves 0, Man City 4. Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. Nottingham Forest 3, Brentford 1. Man United 0, Arsenal 1. Leeds versus Everton are on today at 8 p.m. So obviously Leeds Everton on today at 8 p.m. I will predict those scores because obviously the time of recording right now is 3:37 p.m. So we've got time to predict those ones. I am going to predict a draw in this game because I just see it being a draw. So I'm going to go 1-1 for this game. All right, now my thoughts on the games that happened. Liverpool, Bournemouth. It was a very enthralling game, to be honest. I watched the game. End-to-end stuff. Bournemouth replied with 2 goals when Liverpool went 2 goals ahead. You know what I mean? And it was a fantastic advertisement to the Premier League returning. Obviously on the Friday it happened, you know what I mean? Just a very good opening game. Listen, Liverpool, it looked like they were going to throw it away. Semenyo scores 2 goals, brilliant 2 goals, especially after the racist abuse he suffered. Listen, it's very frustrating to continuously see that these keep happening, especially in a stadium where they were just honouring Diogo Jota earlier, and you're going to do that and ruin the moment and the momentum and everything about the Premier League. That to me is just stupid. I know it's just one fan, and that fan got kicked out, and that fan was in a wheelchair as well. It just doesn't really fathom to me. You know what I mean? You've been picked on and cussed and called sorts of names and everything like that for being in a wheelchair and your disability or something from people, and you want to do that to someone because of the color of their skin. It's just crazy to me. But I hope that person gets their just desserts in terms of where they get banned from the stadium, and most importantly they learn a life lesson. You know what I mean? That racism will not win. You know what I mean? And that's just simple as that. They got Semenyo. Listen, I am with you, and I think majority of us are with you as well. That's never right, and it's never on. And fantastic response by him for scoring 2 goals. A brilliant second goal as well. So big up to Semenyo. Listen, Liverpool, their defence looked shaky in that game, but they eventually turned it around. You know what I mean? They obviously had Chiesa come on and score a goal, making it 3-2. And then Mo Salah putting the icing on the cake, you know what I mean, with that goal. So a lot of people would say, was it fair? And you know, there were some decisions that went here and there. Listen, welcome to the opening game of the Premier League. Premier League always does these things where people would debate these things. I do think that obviously, you know, there was a decision that should have probably gone Liverpool's way, that didn't go Liverpool's way. But this is the Premier League, you know what I mean? You're going to get referees making some horrible decisions, and that's just what it is sometimes. We just all have to suck it up and get on with it. It's always going to be a controversial opinion. Everybody's going to talk about it and debate about it for time to come, which it should be debated. Do you know what I mean? But there's no point. You know what I mean? Once the ref has ruled these things, you can't really overturn it. So let's move on to the next one. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. You know what I mean? Didn't really watch the game, but obviously both teams kind of cancelled it out. I obviously was watching Match of the Day and heard about it. You know what I mean? So a 0-0 result for both teams was very good in terms of obviously Villa, you know, looked a bit shaky, but you know, Newcastle again missing that focal point up front. If they obviously had Isak on the field, I thought Newcastle probably would have won that game in terms of obviously they had the more clear-cut chances, but I do think Newcastle need to get this issue sorted out. You know what I mean? For their fans and for their sake, Isak probably does need to be sold. In my opinion, if I was a Newcastle fan, I would say, yeah, let's get rid of him and let's sell him on, to be honest, because what it's doing is disrupting the harmony of the team. and it stops them also from trying to get a striker in to replace him before that window shut. So Newcastle, they do need to be on business now and try to get him sold, and that's just what I think on that. Personally, I hope the deal doesn't happen as an Arsenal fan, because I don't want to see Liverpool getting stronger, because that's just going to make it impossible for us to win the title. That's just my thoughts on that. But if he does go to Liverpool, then I feel Liverpool obviously are going to win this league, absolutely dominate it. I still think they are going to win. I think they will tiptoe over the line. But if they get Isak, I think they're probably just going to breeze through it, to be honest. But their defence still looks shaky. You know what I mean? Liverpool. I'm just back on Liverpool again. Their defence looks shaky. I do think they need Mark Gay in there. If they do get another defender in there, I think Liverpool are going to be an absolute problem. But their defence did look shaky in that game. But Newcastle, it's a valuable point for them. But they would feel like it's an opportunity missed for them to especially get a win Villa Park, which is never an easy place to go to. But, you know, they do need to try and sort this Isak issue out and try to get a striker in. All right, next game, Brighton-Fulham, 1-1. A late goal by Maurice obviously cancelled out the goal that was scored by Brighton. Can't remember who scored it, so I'm not going to really yap on about that. But obviously, a good point away from home for Fulham. Next game we move to Sunderland, 3-0 against West Ham United. Just promoted Sunderland as well, beating West Ham United 3-0. It does look like it could be peak for West Ham, to be honest. You know what I mean? A newly promoted side beating you as well. Graham Potter, you know what I mean, looked out of sorts and out of ideas. But Sunderland were rampant. Well done to Sunderland. I have to give them full credit. They came on there very dominant at home, and they put West Ham to the sword. You know what I mean? So West Ham had a few chances, but nothing major, to be honest. I think Bowens had an opportunity, which he hit straight at the keeper. But Sunderland were rampant, you know what I mean? And they've made a lot of signings. They would hope that those signings can combine and keep Sunderland in those positions. But it's a great opening day win for them, but I feel it's only going to get tougher from here. Next game, Tottenham 3-0 against Burnley. It's a good win for Tottenham, you know what I mean? No shade on them. They won. It is what it is. I expected Tottenham to win, so no qualms there, to be honest. Richarlison scored a very good second goal with an overhead kick. You know what I mean? He has his critics. People say what they say about Richarlison, and listen, you know, but he's got a fantastic goal. He scored that. I still think they probably do need someone else in that position. Dominic Solanke as well doesn't look like someone who's going to be consistently scoring goals for them. Tottenham probably do miss that focal point front line, especially since they've lost Harry Kane. But if they sign Eze, which looks like it could be happening, don't really want it to be happening, but it looks like it could be happening. If they get Savinho as well, Spurs could be a really, really, really massive problem. Could be one of the favourites in line for that top 4 position. You know what I mean? Really could push that. So that's not what I want, but if they get those players in, could be problems. But, you know, next game, Man City 4-0 against Wolves. Yeah, just absolutely tore them apart, didn't they? So, I mean, Haaland with 2 goals. Reinders looks a problem, to be honest, for this league as well. Great debut from him as well in this league, and got himself 2 assists as well and a goal. So Reinders, I think he got 2 assists. Don't quote me on that, but you know, definitely looks like a problem player, to be honest, for a lot of people. Probably can fill that hole as well that is going to be missed when Rodri obviously is out injured. So I think they've found someone who can fill that hole for now, capable wise. So yeah, it's a good result for City. You know what I mean? Some dangerous players they've got as well, starting to gel. That's why I said I think they're going to be favourites for that league title this year, because of the players they've signed. They got their business done early, and these people now have had time to find the gel as well during the pre-season. So City are going to be up there, man, and it was a great result for them away from home. You know what I mean? Next game, Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. Didn't really watch the game, but you know, it's a good point for Crystal Palace, you know what I mean, away from home. I saw the controversial decision about the Eze goal that was ruled out. To be honest, I didn't see anything wrong in that. I felt the goal should have stood, because all Gueye was doing was kind of out strengthening Caicedo in that wall, and they gave it against Palace, which I didn't really understand why, to be honest. I guess part of the new rules, the Premier League, someone interferes in the wall and said he was 1 meter ahead or something like that. I just think it's absolute bollocks. Last year and the year before last, these rules never meant anything. Now they want to implement these new rules that don't mean crap. People are going to ask me as well, what do I think of the whole 8-second rule in terms of the keeper holding the ball for 8 seconds? I think it's a good rule. You know what I mean? I think it's a good rule because it allows play to continue and go fast and quicker. It benefits teams that are more on the attack, to be honest, because keeper will be rushing things, will probably be making a lot of mistakes, probably rolling the ball out more to their central defenders to clear the ball a lot often. So it can be prone to helping attacking teams attack more. But hey, you know, it's one of them ones, isn't it? New rules and all of that, Premier League, but still the same old shitty referees that can't ref a game properly. But we don't sort that out, but we want to add new rules and we want to mental. But anyways, Nottingham Forest 3-1 against Brentford. It's a good result for Nottingham Forest, you know what I mean, winning at home, you know what I mean. Brentford look in trouble. As I said, new manager. It doesn't look good for Brentford at all, but a good win for Nottingham Forest. Arsenal, Man United, 1-0 win. Wasn't a great performance. I was speaking to my cousin about this, big up Steph, and I was saying to her, it wasn't a great performance by us, but it's 3 points. I'd accept it. You know what I mean? We just look leggy and just out of ideas, to be honest. Like, our counter-attacking didn't seem good enough at times, and Man United were really on it that game. Like Cunha especially and Buemo were on our backside. People say, how do you know? I swear you said you weren't going to watch the games. And I know I said I wasn't. And I made that bet in the group chat when obviously I said that if Tottenham do win a trophy, that I wouldn't watch Arsenal live this season, but I just couldn't help it. I was cooking in the kitchen and I was just trying to mind my own business, and then it came to close to half time and I just couldn't help it. My dad came and said, "Oh, you're going to watch the game?" And I was like, and then it got in my head and I eventually just watched the second half. But what I saw from the second half, it wasn't good enough from us. It really wasn't good enough. Don't know about Gokeres's performance because I didn't watch much, so can't tell you much about it. But I see the people already on his case. Gokeres didn't do this, didn't do that. You know what I mean? What I want to see from Gokeres is him in these upcoming games interjecting himself as part of the team, working with part of the players. For me, as I said, it still stands where I wanted to see him get more than 13 goal assist contributions for the season. Don't think it's much to ask for because it's a new league for him. I want to see how he interjects himself playing with these players in our squad. Do you know what I mean? Setting up Bukayo Saka, using his teammates around him. That's what I want to see from Gokeres. For me, we do need someone on that left-hand side. We do need another attacking midfielder. That, for me, is the positions we need to be filled. And if we don't fill them, I don't see us challenging for this league title. I'm being honest with you guys. Because it's the same old thing with us. You know what I mean? And I thought we were going to leave that backward style football back in last year, but we've come and resorted back to this again. So it's going to be a long season, to be honest, and I don't think we are going to play much attractive, pretty football. It's going to be these doggy performances, you know what I mean, these 1-0 scrapey performances. And I heard what Roy Keane was saying, and to be honest, he's right. You know what I mean? We should be attacking teams more on the front foot. While we go 1-0 up and we just sit back, we invite pressure on us. And I don't like that, to be honest. I would want us to be more on the front foot against these teams, especially when we've got players who can actually take these players on and beat them and potentially get us more goals and opportunities. Why are we sitting back? We should really be going gung-ho against these guys. But we just allowed Man United to keep coming at us, to be honest. Our counter-attack wasn't good enough in the game. Do you know what I mean? Most of our front line players, including our midfield, didn't play well. Do you know what I mean? They had a very, very off game today. Miles Lewis-Skelly came on and nearly made a silly back pass that nearly costed us a goal. It just was all over the place. Apart from our defence, our back line, I can't really praise anyone else. Raya did well, fantastic performance by him, but just not good enough. not good enough. Listen, it's a win against Man United, but the performance is something that leaves me questioning and leaves me thinking that we are not going to challenge for this league title this season, especially if we keep playing like that, especially if we don't get the players in that we actually need. Because that for me is sending some big alarm bells for this season. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm very, very worried about. That we probably may not even end up in the top four if we continue playing like this. But that's just my opinion. Frustrating, to be honest. Frustrating to watch that game. I shouldn't have watched the game. I shouldn't have watched it. But something inside of me, I already broke my own damn rule, which I never really break rules like that. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? I'm never going to bet on Tottenham or Arsenal again. I should never have done it, to be honest. Betted on Tottenham and I lost because of Man United, but it's not just down to Man United. It's down to the fact that these men were meant to bottle it and they didn't bottle it. But they managed to bottle the game they played in the flipping Super Cup against PSG. You bottled that one, but you couldn't go and bottle the one in the Europa League. Fucking Spurs. But anyways, let's move on to predict match day 2 now. So, West Ham against Chelsea. This is on Friday, the 22nd of August at 8 p.m. I'm going to go for Chelsea winning this game. I think West Ham are in problems. It's going to be a tight one for me, though. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. Man City versus Tottenham. Probably one of the games of the weekend. Tottenham always do well at City. They always tend to do well at City, so this is going to be a very, very interesting game. It's the Saturday, 23rd of August. It's on 12 p.m. kickoff, 12:30. So it could be 12:30. I'm going to go for a draw in this one, just because Tottenham somehow, some way, managed to have City's number. So I'm just going to go for a draw in this one, 1-1. Bournemouth versus Wolves, which is 23rd August, 3 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to go for... This could be a weird game, to be honest, but I'm going to slightly just give it Bournemouth's way. I'm going to go 1-0 Bournemouth. Burnley versus Sunderland. Another 3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. I'm going to go for battle of the two teams who came up as well. They're meeting in the second game of the season. So this one's got draw written all over this, to be honest. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to go draw. Somehow I think this could be a 2-2. I just think it could be a very open game somehow. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 on this one. Brentford versus Aston Villa. Another 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. Villa. 3-1 Villa. Arsenal versus Leeds United. It's 5:30 kickoff on the Saturday. I'm going to go for Arsenal winning this one. Again, it's probably going to be another tight one. 2-0 Arsenal. Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest. I'm going to go... This is on Sunday, by the way, 2 p.m. Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I'll go with Nottingham Forest in this one. Again, another tight one. 2-1 Nottingham Forest. That's if Eze's there, then this changes. But if he's not there, then I think Nottingham Forest will win this game. But I'm still going to go Nottingham Forest 2-1. Everton Brighton, Sunday 2 p.m. Everton at home. Brighton, they're a wishy-washy team at times as well. But I feel that they are the surprise package of this season. Somehow, this is Everton's first game in their new ground. So, is their first game? Yeah, it is. Their first game in their new ground. So, I think they'll be up for it. I think they'll be buoyant. I would go with an Everton win, just. I think it'll be a 2-1 Everton. Fulham versus Man United, which is a 4:30 kickoff. Man United are going to want to bounce back. Fulham at home. Fulham, another team that's very wishy-washy. I'm just going to go Man United. They need to bounce back, obviously, after that. This one looks like it could be a 2-1 Man United. Newcastle versus Liverpool, which is a Monday game, 25th of August, 8 p.m. I'm going to go for Liverpool. Just, again, probably another tight one. No Isak. I think it could be problems for Newcastle as well. I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool. And that's it for this episode. And that's it for my predictions of the Premier League Match Day 2. What are your thoughts tonight? You can put your comments below or keep it to yourself. With that, we've come to the end of the podcast. I know we've run over time a little bit, discussing Premier League and all that. Get passionate, so rambling on and all that. But big yourselves up, guys. Thank you for watching. And if you're feeling this episode, you know what to do below, all of that. Big yourselves up, first time watchers, season watchers, and appreciate your time. You know what we usually do when we finish. Peace, love, unity, have fun, and you're either all in or clear out.